Formally, Iran was never colonized, but history tells us a different story. For over a century, the country had become a chessboard for powers like Britain and Russia, who moved their pieces not for Iran, but for power, oil, and dominance. This is the story of a nation that remained independent while everything that mattered was decided elsewhere. While Iran was never formally colonized, it became a strategic chessboard for European powers. During the Great Game, Britain and Russia vied for influence to protect their respective interests in India and Central Asia. The rise of Germany and its ambitious Berlin to Baghdad railway forced these two rivals into an unlikely alliance. This culminated in the 1907 Anglo-Russian Convention, which formally carved Iran into spheres of influence. The north under Russian control, the south under British control, and a neutral buffer zone in between. The discovery of oil in 1908 at Masjid-e-Sulaiman in the southwestern province of Khuzestan led to the formation of the Anglo-Persian Oil Company. While Britain walked away with the lion's share of the profits, Iran was left with merely the crumbs. With the outbreak of the First World War, Iran declared neutrality, but this proved futile as British and Russian interests transformed the nation into a literal battleground. The resulting foreign occupation triggered a catastrophic famine and economic collapse, leaving Iran's sovereignty in tatters and its population in deep distress. The 1917 Russian Revolution temporarily sidelined northern influence, allowing Britain to consolidate its grip on Iran's oil wealth. In 1921, a coup facilitated by British military interests propelled Raza Khan to power. By 1925, he had formally ended the Qajar dynasty, crowning himself Shah. Although Britain anticipated a compliant ruler, Reza Shah proved to be a fiercely independent nationalist, often prioritizing Iranian sovereignty over British expectations. During World War II, Iran's neutrality was again ignored. Perceived as pro-German, the country was invaded by British and Soviet forces. Reza Shah was deposed, and his son Mohammad Reza Pahlavi took the throne. The new Shah's reign soon faced a democratic challenge: the rise of Mohammad Mosaddegh, who championed the nationalization of Iran's oil. In 1951, propelled by a wave of public fervor, Mohammad Mosaddegh was nominated as Prime Minister by a nearly unanimous vote of the Iranian parliament, the Majlis. But very soon, the Cold War moves extended onto Iran's political chessboard. The Communist Tudeh Party emerged as a powerful piece, backing Mosaddegh's daring oil gambit. Yet, this was an uneasy alliance. Deep ideological rifts kept them from moving in complete harmony. Unhappy with Mossaddegh's oil nationalization, the British placed an oil embargo on Iran, strangulating her economy. Because Mossaddegh accepted tactical support from the Communist Tudeh Party, linked by a shared stance on oil nationalization and anti-imperialism, British and American intelligence were able to successfully project him as a Soviet pawn. In 1953, the CIA and MI6 executed Operation Ajax. It was a covert checkmate that removed Mosaddegh from the board, ending Iran's first major democratic experiment. If the West championed democracy during the Cold War, why did they destroy Iran's first major democratic experiment? And what did that mean for the world? Well, if you sit on a sea of oil, your sovereignty is secondary to the West. In this game, the character of your government matters far less than your willingness to play the pawn. The removal of Iran's democratically elected leader fueled a deep-seated hostility towards the West. To many Iranians, the Shah was no longer a sovereign ruler, but a puppet of foreign powers. This resentment, coupled with the West's unwavering support for Israel, which was seen as an illegitimate state established by force on Palestinian lands, further exacerbated these tensions and paved way for the 1979 Islamic Revolution. The Western-backed Shah, Mohammad Reza Pahlavi, was ultimately forced to flee to Egypt. A theocratic government was established, headed by the Ayatollah Ruhollah Khomeini, the supreme leader of Iran. To the dismay of the Western world, the Israeli embassy in Tehran was immediately closed and replaced by a Palestinian embassy. However, hostilities reached their peak when the former Shah, Mohammad Reza Pahlavi, was admitted to the US for medical treatment in 1979. Suspecting the US was orchestrating a coup to restore him to power, Iranian students stormed the US embassy in Tehran and took 52 Americans hostage. The siege lasted 444 days. In 1980, President Jimmy Carter's administration launched Operation Eagle Claw to rescue the hostages, but a combination of mechanical failures and dust storms led to the mission's disastrous failure. The crisis finally ended on January 20, 1981, following the Algiers Accords brokered by Algerian mediators. Ever since, there has been no love lost between Iran and the West. Their relation has been defined by a cycle of excruciating sanctions and economic hardship for the Iranian public.